TTMTrades, welcome back. Today we're going to do our daily analysis. I want to talk about some of the plays we call for this week as far as Tesla, Netflix, gold, and Roku. Okay, ticker ROKU. Also, we want to talk about why I do not believe the move that the S&P 500 made today. I think that was a head fake. I honestly think they're going to continue that downtrend and move towards that 150 period SMA. And we're going to also talk about Uber. Uber is about to make a move, and I don't think no one's paying attention to it. So we'll do a quick technical analysis on Uber. So let's go ahead and get started.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. Liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
As far as Tesla today, Tesla had his big breakout. Reason being is they raised the price target on Tesla from 556 to 808, so that was a very bullish price target to set for Tesla. Hence the reason it had that big breakout this morning. Now, where do we think Tesla is going to go from here? Let me pull up the charts real quick, and we'll zoom in on an intraday basis because that big move that it had today held up pretty well, which means there can still be some room for Tesla to run tomorrow. Okay, so looking at Tesla, big jump on the daily. The high of the day was 786.14, and it closed right at 780. So just $6 off its highs. Pretty strong move. As we look at Tesla on a 2-hour chart, it's still set up nicely. Good volume going in. You can see a lot of profit taken when it pushed that 785, but immediately the next line of buying came in. So we're going to keep zooming in. This is the 2-hour chart. We'll move into the 30-minute chart, and we can see on the 30-minute chart that the PMO is still holding pretty well above its averages. As far as the price action and the Bollinger Bands, it is holding well above its 30-period moving average. You first got the signal back on the 28th of January. We started paying attention to this one because it ran up to 594 and it fell back below its middle Bollinger Band. Just consolidating, nothing too serious, and then immediately some buying occurred and brought it back above its middle Bollinger Band, and it held pretty well. And then we started getting the breakout, and it's continuing to hold. So even on a 30-minute chart, price action still looks strong. So as we zoom in on the 5-minute chart, as you can see here, that is the 2-hour chart's middle Bollinger Band, and this is the 30-minute chart middle Bollinger Band. And then, of course, you have your regular 5-minute chart Bollinger Band. So we're going to continue to push. If they set a price target of 808 on Tesla from the 556 price target that was originally set, then I would cease to believe, well, not cease to believe, but I would believe that buyers are going to be very bullish on this, and they're going to try to push it up to that 800 to 808 price target that was just recently set, and then you may see some selling off. But as far as the moves, Tesla will continue this run throughout the week before finally pulling back probably towards the end of the week. Netflix, we've been beating this one over the head. We first talked about Netflix last week in one of our video analysis. I'll pull up the link right there. You should see it popping up right now. But as far as Netflix had its breakout too today. Let me get the charts pulled up here. Stock Chart's gonna have to work on a charting program, and I love their scanners, but their charting software is kind of behind the curve of everyone else's. But looking at Netflix, we had that consolidation again. We said Netflix was holding above that middle Bollinger Band, which for Bollinger Band traders, that tell us that the upper trend is still holding intact, even though that stock may be pulling back. So again, support once, support twice, support for a third time, and then run up, and then it began consolidating right on top of that middle Bollinger Band. Every time we noticed the price action would pull below, there would be immediate buying to close it right back above it, and then you finally get the breakout from 345 to 358. Now, will this trend continue on the 2-hour chart? A strong breakout. As you can see, the PMO is trying to curl up and hold above its averages, but you do get this doji right at the close, but it is on low volume. Okay, so not high volume, signaling that there was a struggle between the bears and the bulls. Same thing with the 30. You get the big breakout, and then you get some sideways consolidation, and this is on the 30-minute chart. So if we zoom in on the 5-minute, what can we expect? Okay, on the 5-minute, we got the big breakout, and we got some sideways consolidation. Now, one of the things is the PMO is turning downward below both its averages. So on a more short-term basis, as far as the 5-minute chart goes, the price action is consolidating. I highly doubt that we break below that 356 to 357 Bollinger Band and begin that downward trend. So I would say tomorrow you'll probably see a lot of consolidating first thing in the morning, and then once the 5-minute PMO turns back up, if and when it turns back up, then we would see the next leg continue. But I wouldn't jump in first thing in the morning tomorrow. I would probably wait for the consolidation period to be over and then see if you get another breakout back to the upside or pull back to try to retest some prior resistances. Now, again, it's breaking out here on the weekly since we've been trading this one since November. And it's breaking out here on the weekly. On the weekly, 357 is its resistance. So rule of thumb, anytime the price action is breaking out of its Bollinger Bands on one time frame, you always want to zoom out to the next time frame to see where that line of resistance is at. So now we're going to head to the monthly, because if we break above that top 2 standard deviation Bollinger Bands sitting at 357, rounded up to 358, then our next line of resistance, looking here on the monthly, on a month-to-month basis, you can see the price action is holding above its middle Bollinger Band. Also hit that middle Bollinger Band back in June, and has been trending up ever since. But that next line of resistance is sitting right there, right at 365, give or take 366. Okay, so right now we're sitting at 358. We'll see how we test that 365 to 366. If we break up and above on strong volume, then we're retesting that 380 to 385 realm where the price action was consolidating before it finally broke down right here on a month-to-month basis. All right, looking at gold. Now, gold has been on an upward trend and is currently consolidating sideways, as you can see right here on the daily. It was struggling with that 149 area at one point. It pushed up to 148.61, immediate pullback. But as you can see, the Sunday trend meter held above its averages, and the price action held on to its top 1 standard deviation Bollinger Band. Got a gap up here when the market gapped down due to the coronavirus, and then again the struggle with that 149, pulling back the following day, and then again it had a run up, breaking above the 149 and pushing up to 149.68, and again, as you can see, pulling back on that 1 standard deviation Bollinger Band. It did dip below it, but there was some immediate buying to close it above its top 1 standard deviation Bollinger Band. So as we zoom in, we could kind of see we're at a standstill on a daily chart because we're struggling with the 149 to 150 area, and the price action is kind of up and down. Okay, I'm pretty sure, as you can see here, the Bollinger Band width is turning downward, which shows that we already had a high period of volatility. Okay, where there's low volatility, high volatility will follow, and where there's high volatility, low volatility will follow. So as we're going into that low volatility period, which means gold is probably going to consolidate right here in this area. Okay, the last dip down was 145.08. You can see the middle Bollinger Band is picking up as far as that momentum to show that line of support. So if gold were to pull back for any reason, we want to see that 145 area holds. Okay, now looking at this on a day-to-day basis, we really can't tell which direction this is going to go. So we'll zoom in just a little bit and drop down to our 2-hour chart. So looking on the 2-hour chart, you can see that we created higher highs and then had this gap down, and we're holding right above this middle Bollinger Band. So the trend is still intact as long as we hold above that middle Bollinger Band. But one thing to be aware of, the PMO, which gives me the overall direction of the trend and eliminates a lot of the noise that we see in the market, is below its 75 period average. Okay, so could there be another push back up to try to break above that? Yes, but that's a fair warning that the overall momentum could be slowing down. Okay, but we are holding above that middle Bollinger Band, sitting at 148.33. If we zoom in on the 30-minute chart, you see here we're already starting to have a breakdown as the PMO has tried to start an uptrend, fell below its averages, tried to push back above its averages, and it's starting to fall back below them again. Okay, so we want to see that 147.77 hold, which is the 2 hours chart, middle Bollinger Band, okay, which is about $1 off, sitting at 148. So we zoom into the 5-minute chart. What do we see? All right, we see those multiple pushes with that immediate gap down this morning due to the market recovering. It did find support on that 2-hour middle Bollinger Band, as we talked about here, and now it's hitting it and utilizing that as support. Okay, support once, support twice. Okay, but looking at the 5-minute chart, it's struggling to break back above its one standard and two standard deviation top Bollinger Bands, and the middle Bollinger Band is rejecting the price action on a very short-term basis on the 5-minute chart. So we could possibly see this break down through that 2-hour chart, middle Bollinger Band, and we hopefully want to see that 147.71 hold. Again, if that 147.71 doesn't hold, or that 147.10 does not hold, then again we will see that push back down to that 144, which is 150 period moving average for the 2-hour chart, which correlates to the daily middle Bollinger Band. So we will see that push back down to that 144, 145 arena we was just talking about as the price action continues to consolidate, excuse me. Now, if that pullback does happen, that may be a great buying opportunity to try to lock in positions right on that middle Bollinger Band before you get the next leg up as the price action consolidates. Because overall, the trend is still intact as the daily is above both its averages. And when it hit that zero line right about the PMO, it instantly curled back up to show that the buying momentum was shifting. Okay, so gold overall still looks good. Checking out Roku one last time. Roku does not want to give up. It is clinging on for dear life. I still think Roku's going to drop unless some amazing miracle happens. But Roku had that push up, like we were saying, is getting denied by his middle Bollinger Band repeatedly over and over. And then it finally fell through the 150 period SMA, which was holding it as support. Okay, support right here. Support. And now it's failed through that 150 period SMA. Okay, so I really do think Roku might have a last minute run up to try to hold on, and then it's just going to fail altogether, breaking down. Okay, and then again, when the price action starts breaking out of its bands on one time frame, you zoom out to the next time frame to see where the next line of support is at. So zooming out on Roku, that next line of support is sitting at 114 if the price action cannot recover and break back above the weekly's middle Bollinger Band. All right, so jumping into the S&P 500 or SPY, the ETF. Do I believe in the move that we had today? I do not believe in what we saw today as far as the S&P 500 and the morning gap up, so on and so forth. All right, I still think that this is going to break down and it will not hold up. Okay, so looking at the weekly, we see on the weekly that line of support is sitting at 319.77, give or take 320. All right, now on a day-to-day basis, as we was talking about earlier, we had that strong sell-off, and then this morning we had a slight gap up from 321 to 324, opening with a high of 326. There we go. So we did have that high of 326. But again, that middle Bollinger Band is very important as far as Bollinger Band trading. So as it attempted that break above the middle Bollinger Band and to hold, there was an immediate sell-off, and you could see the price action drop back down. Okay, so I don't believe in that move today. Okay, once I see that 321 is violated on another strong sell-off, give or take sometime this week, then that will confirm that this is pulling back to its 150 SMA, sitting at 303, give or take 304 by the time it starts pulling back. So as far as the overall market, I do not believe in that move we just saw today. Okay, they said some strong manufacturing data came out today, which kind of gave the market a little bit of a bullish tone. They said China injected a lot of money into their market to try to give or take recover some of the losses their market has been going through, with hopes that the rest of the world would do the same. So that kind of gave a bullish stand to a slight degree, but that still doesn't get back down to the root cause of why the market is pulling back and needs to pull back. One, a lot of the top S&P 500 companies are oversold or overextended, so they needed to pull back anyway. And two, the coronavirus is still alive and well, and could still jack up China's economy. So until those two things happen, we get a cure or something positive happens about the coronavirus and the overall, the S&P 500 stocks pull back and cool down or reconsolidate before their next leg up, I'm not going to believe this move. But again, 325 resistance, 321 and 322 support. I'm looking for one of those two to get violated. I honestly think the 321 support is going to get violated, and then we're going to pull back to the 150 SMA. All right, last but not least, let's talk about Uber. All right, Uber is going to break out here soon, and I don't think a lot of people is watching it. It's on a very strong uptrend. It's not on anyone's radar right now because it hasn't made a big move, and I haven't seen anyone talking about it in our Discord chat room. But I ran my scans and Uber came up. So looking at Uber pushed up about 2 weeks ago to that $37.95, pulled back $3, and now is pushing back up to retest that $37.59 resistance on the weekly 1 standard deviation Bollinger Band. All right, now going into the daily, you can see Uber here making that run up. It broke above that middle Bollinger Band, 150 period SMA, sitting at 33.15 at the time. As it broke above it, it pulled back to retest it, found support, and then immediately broke back above, and now it's holding steady on its top 1 standard deviation Bollinger Band. Okay, even though these are 2 red days, you have 2 bottom wicks to show that even though there was selling on those days, there was some buying to match that to hold above a 1 standard deviation. Then today you get a strong solid breakout on some decent volume to hold the price action up. So I think Uber is setting up here for a nice run. Okay, now looking intraday, do we think Uber is going to possibly be pulling back here? So looking at some of the charts here, I think Uber needs to consolidate intraday. The 2-hour PMO, which has been running strong since December, finally broke above its averages, and as you can see, that lets me know that the overall momentum has shifted, and then we get that run from December as it holds above its 75 SMA, and that's the type of momentum we want to trade into. So as you can see here on each dip and run up, we're holding above the average. I know we're in an overall uptrend, and I know to trade into that trend. Now Uber has pulled back here and it's fallen below its 75 SMA, but we're still in positive territory. So that means the price action could be consolidating. So I'll keep an eye on Uber. Looking at the 5-minute chart, the PMO is already breaking down, so we'll probably get a slight pullback here and a retest of that 3677. That 3677 correlates to the 30-minute chart and 2 hours chart middle Bollinger Band. All right, as we look, 30-minute middle Bollinger Band sitting at 3676. 2-hour chart middle Bollinger Band sitting at 3683. So we'll get a pullback here, retest that 3683. If for some odd reason the 2-hour chart PMOs can't turn back up to show that the momentum is shifting back up into an uptrend, then we know that 38 is resistance, and we'll probably see the 2-hour chart start pulling back to retest some of its previous bottoms, which were sitting at 34. So just keep an eye on Uber. We want to make sure that this 3650 holds. If for some reason that 3650 is violated, then we'll be pulling back into that $34 range right here where the previous support was at. As you can see, the middle Bollinger Band is beginning to adjust to reflect that line of support. But again, if that 3650 breaks down, then we're pulling back to $34. If we break above $38, which is the current struggle, then I see us making a run back up. And then we're going to test that weekly middle Bollinger, not weekly, 2 standard deviation top Bollinger Band sitting at 4202. All right, TTMTrades, that's out. I'm out. That's my daily analysis. If you got any questions, please join my Discord chat room. Link is below. Hit me up, and then I hope I added value to your trades. I'm out.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.